welcome to another episode of Socialers. I'm Jason, and this is...
Joanna or Socialers?
No, you're Joanna. You screwed up our introduction.
No, but
that's all right.
You said this is... Okay, let's start over.
And this is? No, that's fine. We're not starting over. We're going to use that because we're real and authentic, and that's the way it is. So, welcome to another episode. Things are happening. Let's see what's new, what's exciting and new over the past couple days, social media wise. What do you got for me? You got anything? I don't know if I have anything.
Twitter is imploding.
Is it though?
No big deal.
Is it? How do we know what's real and what isn't? I'm kind of in the middle on this whole thing.
Well, I think Twitter as a business is imploding. I mean, not necessarily. I'm not saying as a platform. Obviously, they're connected.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be significant issues with the platform. But Twitter as a business is definitely imploding.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I don't know how it's going to play out. I think my opinion of it is the same thing just about anything. Like I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, yeah, they're going to suffer and it's going to change. Do I think it's going to go away completely? No. It's interesting. Like you never know what the truth is, right? You never can trust everything that you read or see. You see all these employees that are leaving, and it's interesting because we have this amazing, at our company we have this amazing culture, and things are great, and people work hard, and I think that they work hard because you treat them really well and take care of them, and we hire the right people. But I think that there's a lot of people that have a pretty messed up, I think, point of view of like what hard work is these days. So I wonder how much of this is, again, the truth always lies somewhere in the middle. I think, is Elon a little weird? Yeah. Is he doing some things that are, going to hurt the business? Probably. Is everybody that's, jumping ship, is it warranted? Like how much of it is like them just not wanting to work a little bit harder? I don't know. So I don't know. I mean,
you saw the email though, right? You saw the email he sent out that was like, you can either
that's shitty. That's just shitty.
Extremely hard, work to your bone, or take a 3-month severance just before Thanksgiving and Christmas.
That's just dumb. That's just bad. That's just bad communication. Like he could have. I understand where he's coming from, but that could have been handled so much better. I think he's similar to like Trump in that there's no filter, right? He didn't like consult with anybody like, hey, maybe we should be strategic about how to maybe communicate this sort of thing. No, he just like wrote it and probably sent it out, which is horrible.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I do agree with you that the culture of working hard may be dwindling, but I can't say that I'm necessarily opposed to it. Like I'm a big proponent of like the 4-day work week and flexible hours and things like that. But that's only because I know my work ethic, and I know that, one, I respect you enough to put in the work and the hours and not take advantage. But also I would be so bored if I didn't have a purpose and wasn't working towards something.
Yeah.
So I think I look through everything through that lens. But yeah, I do think that people were overworked previously. I think the hustle culture isn't a good thing. I'm definitely on the side of like work, trust your employees to work. Start with hiring the right people, and it will solve all your problems. Yeah.
Again, I think I'm not an extremist in opinions and or stances on things. I think that there's room for that to be reeled in a bit, but at the same time, there's always going to be people that I think are on the other side of it extreme. Like their lunches have been provided to them their entire work life, and they want to work 20 hours a week. And so I think there's got to be a happy medium. I mean, businesses have to make money. I mean, they need their people to be productive, and to a certain extent, I think that's the problem, is that and I think this is systemic with the world we live in, is that people are just becoming so extreme in their opinions of things that it gets really hard to find common ground. So I think that's where like what's happening with Twitter is a perfect reflection of that. I think you've got somebody that, clearly the guy is smart. I mean, he's made a shit ton of money, building Tesla. I mean, but he's probably an egomaniac. You know, he's probably like, everything I do is right, and everything I say is right, and I don't need somebody to help me message things. And it's just like, no, that's gonna bite you in the ass. So
Yeah. And I think you see everything through the way your work ethic as well. Like when I think of CEO, you and Elon to me aren't really in the same space, not just because he owns Tesla and Twitter,
yeah,
but because you don't have the same you don't have the same greed,
yeah,
right? Like I get that businesses need to make money. They're making plenty of money.
yeah,
There's plenty of money to go around. I think it has a lot to do with greed at the top that created hustle culture. And that's what I'm opposed to. I do think that there are some, oh my God, I think I'm getting old. Like the younger generation might just not have an appreciation for what people older than them have had to go through.
Well, companies have to evolve too. I mean, you know, I think that people that are growing up in this age and in this culture just think differently in terms of how they want to live their lives. So, you know, as a business, you have to somewhat evolve to accommodate, you know, the people that you have access to. So, obviously not to the extent that, you know, you can't be a profitable business, but it'll be interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, if you can be a reasonably profitable business and still provide your employees with a life outside of work,
for sure,
that is the goal.
Yeah. No, I mean that's where I want us to be. That's where I think we're at. Hopefully, I think so. I feel that way. So, so on that note, today's topic is I'm very passionate about. I've been wanting to like record a video about it because it just drives me nuts. Which is, and this, look, I'm not an idiot. Like articles online are all about clicks. So they're all about positioning things in ways that get people fired up. So I get that. But I can't help but think that some of these authors and people that are writing these things actually believe. And that it's all of these articles about how social media is dead and how it's dying and it's going to go away because of everything that's happening. And it's just, I completely disagree. And I've used this on sales pitches where I've talked about social media. It's so like the term social media has kind of become, you know, like this love or hate, you know, phrase or term. But when you really break it down to its, you know, its most raw state, it's social and media. People in the entire history of our planet have always had a social construct. You know, we've always interacted in some way. Now, media is something that's obviously become more synonymous with maybe the past, 100, 200 years in terms of, and that form has changed over time, you know, newspaper, radio, television, internet. So social media is not new. It's just the ways that we interact with each other is what's different. The platforms will always evolve and change, you know, to your point, Twitter might go away, but guess what? Something else is going to come along. You know, technology dictates how we interact with each other. And the fact of the matter is platforms and technology is what's going to change. How we interact with each other will never go away.
Yeah, I think the key word is change or morph. Social media is morphing. Social media is changing. Always has, always will. But to say that it's dying, get out of here. Is social media dying? And I bet you the first word of a lot of those articles is no. But while you're here.
No, the ones that I've read,
silly.
I mean, their arguments are basically like just because of how, and a lot of it's, I think, politically driven, just because of how, you know, the negative facets of social media in terms of how people can kind of validate any opinion that they have, regardless of how, you know, destructive it can be. You know, you can always find other people to agree with you. And then people using, you know, social media as a megaphone to kind of just shout out whatever. So look, I mean, anything in life can be abused. And so it's like for those sorts of reasons, I think some people think, oh, like these things are going to go away. And they're not. I mean, you know, when I talk to clients or potential clients about their use of social media with their business, you know, I've tried to talk them off the ledge in terms of their own personal opinion of it. because it's like, look, there's billions of people using these platforms. You know,
Yeah. Do you want some numbers?
do you
I
have
have
some?
numbers.
Yeah, do it. What do you
Yeah.
got?
So as of October 2022, 4.74 billion people are on social media using it actively. That's 59% of total population. Over the last 12 months, and again, this was in October 2022, 190 million new users joined social media within 12 months.
That's crazy.
That's a 4.2% growth. I can't stand, it's my biggest pet peeve when clients or even people in the social media space who work in it say these big statements like, is social media dying and stuff like that. And you're right, it's just for click. It's just for a click. But look at the numbers. What do the numbers say? Look at the numbers. If the numbers say there's growth, then shut up.
Well, it's just scale. There's too many people. Like, yeah, can platforms like Facebook lose users or be on a downslide? Of course they can. Does that mean that it now becomes not a viable channel for you to use to promote your business or organization? Like, of course, no.
I mean,
Hell no.
MySpace is dead. MySpace is dead. MySpace died a long time ago, but look where we are. We've got 10 more to replace it.
Yeah, and I think it's, I think in the time that that was like the internet was kind of like in its kind of like infancy stage, right? Like things definitely came and went pretty quickly back then. I think now, the technology is somewhat matured, so you don't see, platforms come and go as much. Like if you think about a platform like Twitter, could it disappear? I mean, it's possible. That would probably take like 5 or 10 years for it to like completely go away. And then in that time, something else will probably have come to take its place. So, it's not going away.
And you know what I think is driving people's opinions too is their age. As they age, you become less relevant, right? So I had a MySpace on the very tail end of it. I don't know how old I was. I don't want to say. I was young. And then I was like a prime Facebook user. I was using Facebook. I had to be invited. That was back when you had to be invited and you had to have like a college email.
Yeah.
I was like 14. I was using someone's college email to get onto Facebook. So I was there relatively towards the beginning. And I was like a prime Facebook user. And then Instagram came out. I was a prime Instagram, Snapchat, all of it. And now are you mowing your lawn?
That's not me. That's you. I got nothing over here.
There's no way that's me.
It's not me. It's gray and wet. Nobody's mowing lawns where I'm at. Trust me.
Okay. Anyways, as people age, you become less adapt to new social media platforms, right? Like TikTok, I'm on it.
Yeah. But
I'm not as savvy on it as someone probably 5, even 3 years my junior.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like as people age, your perception is skewed by what you think is relevant to you. And yeah, I just feel like every 5 or so years, this comes out. Is social media dying? No, you are.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, look, I'm trust me, if I could snap my fingers and go back to the 80s and live in a simpler time, I'd be all for it. As much as I love technology and enjoy it, but that's not the trajectory that we're on. If anything, it's the opposite. Like technology is increasing. More and more people are online. More and more people are, living their lives digitally. Like that is only going to continue to grow. Even though this whole metaverse thing is a disaster so far, like that is coming. Like that's the next iteration of things is not kind of, that virtual world stuff that's coming. They may not have figured it out yet, and it may not have reached scale. It's coming. So social media isn't dying. It isn't dead. It's going to evolve. There's going to be other platforms. There's going to be other technologies. More and more people are going to be online. If anything, as a business or an organization, you better be doubling down on how you sell online, or however you market yourself online.
And if the metaverse doesn't come to fruition, right? Let's say Facebook is the next one to die and we bury it next to MySpace. There's almost 5 billion users who are going to be looking for something else. Supply and demand. Someone's going to supply it, and there's 5 billion people who are going to demand it. So I just,
I would take
conversation that I have with clients
Yeah.
over and over. It's frustrating.
I'd take some of these articles more seriously if they were more specific. If they said like, we think that like Facebook is going to trend in this direction, and we think something else is going to come along that's going to displace them. Like, okay, we can have that conversation. But like these like doom and gloom projections, like it's going to go like, oh really, it's going to go. So what are people going to do? They're going to go back to just reading books and what going back into the like, no, they're not. People are becoming less, less unconnected. Again, which I wish that wasn't necessarily the case, but that's not going to happen. I mean, I think the pandemic kind of threw gas on the fire to opening up people's eyes to, a different way of living. And to your point, like what we were talking about earlier, is like people start questioning like, well, I kind of liked being at home with my family and spending time with my family and not working 60, 80, 90 hours a week. Like that feels better. And so they have a different expectation for their life. And
it morphs. Yeah. It doesn't go away. Yeah. It morphs.
And that's the thing of it too, is like, you don't have to work that much. Like people, you can be more productive. Like I always say, like which person's more valuable? You got person A that works 60 hours a week. And then you got person B that works 35 hours a week, but they both get the same amount done. Is person A more valuable because they spent more time on it, or is person B more valuable because they're more efficient?
Person B is more valuable, one, because they're more efficient, but two, because they're not going to burn themselves out.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why, and it's been interesting for our agency, like the dynamic that we went through in terms of like time tracking. I think after a couple of years of running a business, and you start to get some predictability, and you kind of have a sense of, okay, well, we think we have a pretty good sense of how much time it takes to do things. Do we really want or need to have our people waste time tracking their time? And we don't anymore.
Well, I mean, I think it's valuable, especially if you have someone maybe new starting, or you're kind of starting a new program or something like that, just to get some insight into how long things take.
Yeah.
But again, if you hire the right people and you can trust them and they work hard, yeah, it's a waste of people's time. And it's kind of invasive as well.
Yeah.
Because it's harder to tell, okay, person A works 40 hours, person B works 20 hours, but it seems like they have the same output. It is harder to tell. So It's just a data point that is so ambiguous and dependent on the person and dependent on the situation that, never really worked out for us.
Yeah. So what social media channel platform do you actually use the most these days?
Reddit.
Me too. I was going to say that.
I'd be scared to see my time on Reddit.
Yeah, I know.
Reddit is just like, we actually had a client who was kind of almost trying to recreate Reddit. Do you remember that?
I don't. We can't say names.
I can't say it, but they were essentially trying to create a platform that rewarded people for essentially like being honest or doing their research.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, that sounds very familiar. But we'll go for it. Yeah, no, Reddit is my.
Yeah, I didn't use it at all until about a year ago, and then now I'm like every night, for me, it's just I learn a ton. Especially if you set it up for yourself and you kind of connect yourselves to certain threads that, of stuff. Like I have one for like.
It's the most tailorable.
I have one for like my mini.
It used to be like that for Facebook and Instagram and stuff. You could really, you would just see your friends and family and things that you followed. And now it's like Facebook especially gives you so many suggestions of what you should be looking at.
Instagram's feed went to absolute shit.
Yeah,
I'm like, what? I get you need to make money with the ads, but 75% of what I see is ads, and it's
and I wonder how much of the iOS 14 had to do with that, like just not tailoring ads to people and people opting out.
Yeah.
That's another podcast episode, but yep. I mean, I agree with both sides. Like, I agree that there should be a level of privacy, but I also think that having a tailored feed to you to seeing ads that are relevant to you are far better than seeing ads that are not relevant to you. Can I tell you about an ad that I got on Reddit last night?
Okay.
Kind of upset me.
What?
I felt very violated. I'm going to find it exactly so I don't mess this up. But just I'm telling you, I promise you, this is an example of an irrelevant ad.
Our technology is listening to us. Trust me. That is a given. Because
Great. So I'm going to get more of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to butcher the name, the brand. I think it's OSIP. It's OESUP.
Okay.
OSIP. This is the caption. This is a Reddit ad. I have the screenshot if you want receipts. It's a picture of soap, and the caption is soap for penis odor.
Are you serious?
That's it.
What? What have you been talking about at home? Jeez.
First of all, don't have a penis. But one, that's an interesting ad. But two, like, you see what I mean? Like, I don't want to see that kind of stuff.
I think they could have worded that better. I don't know.
I mean, think it's probably like, it might be clickbait, like kind of just engage with it to engage with it.
I mean, it happens there are times where like, I remember this one time I had people over and we were like talking about camping. Molly and I don't camp. We don't camp. We don't talk about camping. And then literally, an hour later, scrolling through and I'm getting ads for that. Like, okay.
Yeah, it is invasive. Well, it is invasive. Yeah. And so, yeah, I agree with both sides. I think people should make their own decision. Just know that opting out isn't as like easy as like, oh, I'm just going to opt out and have no more ads. You're still going to have ads. So whether you want them to be relevant or not. I know I was talking to someone on our team about wedding dress options for me. And later that night, she said she's getting a bunch of ads for wedding dresses. But we spoke about it only on Slack. Yeah. It's like, are they everywhere?
Yeah. I mean, I get both sides of it. I'm of the same mindset. I don't mind. I'd rather have I've bought stuff. I've bought things because I'm like, oh, that is cool. Oh, I was actually wanting to I'd rather see that than just generic stuff. So I think when people have this ad like, oh no, I want complete privacy and you're not going to get any of my information. It's like, okay, fine. But you're still going to get ads. They're just not going to be,
and you're not going to get complete privacy either.
No,
so it's a lose-lose.
So I don't know. I guess I've just gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't care. What do you want to know about me?
I'm kind of like a lie down and take it kind of attitude.
I don't care. I mean,
roll it back?
I guess I don't see the harm in it. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't, being transparent about who I am and what I'm interested in and giving that information to companies like, whatever, like what's the harm?
I'm the same, but I understand the harm. It could be a slippery slope, and like they have no right to know your information. No, some corporation has no right.
And if you don't want them to you should have the option for sure. If you don't feel comfortable about it, you should definitely have that option. I agree with.
I think myself as a California resident, I could message Elon directly and ask him to delete all the data he has on me via Twitter, just because California has very specific laws. Yeah. Similar to the European laws.
You should be able to call him up and just be like, yeah,
Mr. Elon, sir, I know you're very busy with your middle of the night meetings.
You want to know? I'm gonna go on a semi rant here before we wrap things up, because it's kind of somewhat related to this conversation. I have the greatest idea in the world. Here's another idea. So the United States Postal Office has always been talking about how, they're struggling because people, don't send mail anymore. Somebody's not telling businesses that, because my mailbox is like getting jammed with like tons and tons of junk mail. Every time I go to get the mail, it's just like this, like literally 95% of it is just nothing. And like, I didn't ask for it. I don't want it. I don't look at it. And it's just like, what a friggin' waste. So my idea is, and I know that there's legal ramifications to this, but let's just set that aside for now. The United States Postal Office offers a product where you pay $5 a month and they don't deliver that unsolicited mail. They take that pre-sorted crap and they recycle it before it even hits your mailbox. And then they have a new revenue stream. They're saving. Plus, think about the mail carriers. They would probably decrease their mail load by like 80%.
But do you know how frustrating it would be? I think it's a great idea. But do you know how frustrating it would be to pay the government to not be advertised through the U.S. mail? Why are they doing that? in the first place? Why is that allowed without my consent?
Yeah. That's the question, right? Is how do you get out of it? How do you opt out of that? At least with like email, you can opt out of emails, right? It's still an incessant, constant thing, but at least you have an option. Like with the mail, it's just like, it's so wasteful and so ineffective. At least, I don't know. I'm sure there are businesses that'll say that they get some return on it, but my God, it's just gotten so out of, because I think what's happening is because email has become so much noise and people are ignoring it so much. I think
they're going back to
mail. Yeah, they're sending mail. I get it.
Yeah.
I could see why they would do that, but it's just like, well, how come shouldn't they have to have permission to do that, to send you that?
What do you think about Netflix's ad tier? It's like a cheaper tier. It's like $6 a month.
If somebody wants to pay less and watch ads, sure. I don't. Anytime I have a streaming option, the thing that drives me, it's like the rant episode. It's like, but like with Hulu, it's like you pay all this money to not watch ads, but then there's still ads because it's like, oh, it's not completely ad free. I'm like, oh, so I'm paying you not to watch ads, but you still have to push some ads in front of me. I'm like, seriously?
I don't understand all the complaints because it used to be you pay $100 for cable. Well, it still is that way. People still pay for cable. And you watch ads. It's almost all ads. So you're paying someone else to watch ads.
Yeah. You're going to get advertised. That's the thing, right? I'm sitting here complaining about being advertised to, but I'm fine with being advertised to. I think the point is as long as it's consensual and it's tailored to me, I'm fine with it. And it's not overly excessive, I think. I think that makes it, then I'm fine with it. But when it's just like this massive, like in your face all the time, and it's not targeted, and I didn't ask for it. It's just like, give me an opt out, right? To all of it. So.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So just to summarize, just because your Aunt Linda is posting embarrassing videos on Facebook does not mean that it's dying. It means that it's morphing.
Correct.
Goodbye.
And if you own a business or are thinking about owning a business, and you let your personal opinions of social media dictate whether you use it to promote your business, you're making a huge mistake because the data doesn't lie. Billions of users spending multiple hours a day. That's where people are spending their time. So social media is not.
Yeah, I just spoke to a client a few days ago who said something like, well, I don't think we should be on LinkedIn because people don't go on LinkedIn to look for X service, right? Their service. Who goes on to social media platforms to look for any ads?
No.
Who looks for ads?
No,
ads happen to you.
Right.
You are being sold to whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
If your target demographic is on the platform, you should be too.
100%. End rant. Oh, I feel so much better.
Goodbye.
Don't you feel like you've just...
I do. I feel a bit lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a Friday because you're wearing something other than a socialistic shirt.
For those of you
But it's not a Friday.
watching, I have a Back to the Future shirt on, and I always wear socialistic shirts. But I did some spring cleaning, found it, and now I'm wearing it.
The only settings I've seen you in person are work related.
Yeah.
So you're naturally wearing a socialistic shirt.
Yeah.
And he literally only wears socialistic shirts
I gotta change it
during
up.
the week. I have to imagine that you wear something different on the weekend, but I don't know.
Probably not, but here, like I was telling you, I'm a t-shirt snob. It's got to be tri-blend. It's got to be comfortable, and if it's 100% cotton, I'm not interested. So,
If that's not your Instagram bio, it's got to be tri-blend.
yeah, I should be a tri-blend salesperson. Kill it. All right.
Okay, bye.
That's it. Let's wrap this up. Thank you for listening to Socialers. Find us at socialers.com on social media, but most importantly, join our Slack community because it's growing, and that's where you can get all the great stuff in terms of education and deals and friendships and all that good stuff.
Friendships? Will you be my friend?
Yeah, you can ask people to be your friend on the Socialers Slack group.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, Joanna. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.